Hey YouTube, it's Weird Paul. Today, we're taking a look back at another one of the homemade cassette albums that I made when I was a teenager. I'm celebrating the 30th anniversary of HALF LIVE Petroskeey, which I completed in February of 1987. HALF LIVE Petroskeey was my 5th full-length cassette, coming after Seeking the Death Penalty, which I'd completed 4 months earlier. I've been making my own tapes and letting kids at school borrow them for a couple years at this point, and playing live shows at my parents' house. None of the kids at school ever came to any of my concerts, but they did want to hear them, and they started telling me that I should put out a live tape. My sister and I used to say that live albums were just a rip-off. It was just another version of the same songs you already had. So, I made a compromise. I decided to release an album that was half live and half studio tracks. HALF LIVE Petroskeey. It all began on December 29th, 1986. I had gotten some blank cassette tapes for Christmas, and a Radio Shack electronic reverb. I used the reverb on the tape to announce which concert and what date each song came from. And here's the original piece of paper where I planned out which songs I would include. All the live songs came from videotape recordings that I'd made of the concerts I'd performed in my parents' house. The first couple of tracks had originally been on my 1986 tape, Beaten with the Ugly Stick.
Here he is, Paul Petroskey!
First, there was a live version of my Led Zeppelin parody, Whole Lotta Mouthwash. And then, the song Tales of the Vienna Bucket. Maybe I was the first Buckethead. Then there were a few tracks that were originally on my 1986 tape, In Case of Fire, Throw This In, the original. A cover of Led Zeppelin's Dazed and Confused, which I admitted I'd only learned the day before.
I just learned it, like, yesterday, that's actually.
And, you can tell, next, the footage was shot in my parents' den, with a live version of Yo Ball Hit the Ceiling. And then, Close My Door.
Close My Door.
The concert footage I was using started to get more recent. At this point, it was only from a few months before. I was able to actually play the music for my parody of Iron Man, called Mashed Potato Man.
I am Mashed Potato Man!
Then there's a live version of my song, the Yoko Ono Band. The 8th track was Flag Day. This was followed by Garbage Man, my parody of the Rush song, Working Man. Then I did one of my earliest songs, I'm a Guitar. However, since the guitar was perfectly in tune, it wasn't a true representation of how it should have sounded. After that, it was back to my parents' living room for the footage. I performed my parody of Dio's Rainbow in the Dark, called Rainbow in All His Songs. And then I performed the very abrasive sounding Chunk. I didn't have a microphone stand, so I had to get creative. The mic was held up in an old wrapping paper tube, which was supported by my garbage can. This was stacked on top of 3 VHS tapes that were sitting on top of a TV tray. In November, for my 16th birthday, I did a performance outside in my parents' driveway. I did the song I Went Over My Friend's House. Only my sister, who was filming, was watching me. The final live track was done at our family's annual Christmas concert on December 20th, 1986. I did a cover of the Kiss song, Love Gun.
I can make you feel okay. Love gun, love gun.
This was the live half of the tape, and I worked for over 2 weeks recording all of the songs from the VCR into my tape deck. And then I spent another 2 weeks working on the 6 studio tracks. The first 3 were all released for real later the same year on my first actual album, In Case of Fire, Throw This In. Good Gums had been written on October 26th by my sister and I. We just made it up as we went along, with my sister playing the flutophone. We got the title Good Gums from an episode of Perfect Strangers where Balky was talking about a sheep. On July 31st, 1987, we made a music video for the song. The next song was called Bowl Cut, and it is now a popular song of mine. I wrote Bowl Cut on December 12th by accident as my stumbling fingers tried to play I Don't Know by Ozzy Osbourne. And then I recorded the song My Father's Toe, which I had written on October 19th. I made a funny music video for it in April, featuring my dad's foot.
My father's toe. My father's toe. My father's toe.
On all of my previous tapes, there'd been many parodies where I'd just sing right over top of the original artist's songs. That only happened once on HALF LIVE Petroskeey. Back on November 20th, my friend Bob told me that I should write a song about his friend Jeff, who was getting bad grades. His idea was for me to parody Bon Jovi's You Give Love a Bad Name as You Give Learning a Bad Name. Bob okayed my lyrics on January 14th, and I recorded the song on January 22nd. The next to last song on the tape was called Can't Win 'Em All, and it was another song that I had written with my sister.
Can't win 'em all. Can't win 'em all. You can't win 'em all.
The song remained unreleased for over 25 years, until 2012, when I included it on my 25 Lo-Fi Years retrospective CD. The last song on the album was a parody of I'd Love to Change the World by 10 Years After, which I called I'd Love to Change My Clothes.
I'd love to change my clothes.
I made a music video for it, where I was seen holding up one of my brother's tiny shirts in confusion. The recording of the album was completed, and it was time to take the cover photo. I had my mother photograph me sitting on the couch looking dazed, surrounded by props and my guitar, and a bottle of whiskey and a pack of cigarettes. I remember one of my teachers at school in particular seeing the photo. It may have been my shop teacher, Mr. Butler. I remember that he asked me if everything was okay at home. I told him not to worry, the cover was supposed to be funny. On January 26th and 27th, I typed out 16 of these press releases, announcing that my album would be ready to borrow on February 9th. I handed them all out, and I even gave one to my English teacher, Miss Garrett. On February 8th, at my house, I had a listening party for my new album.
Okay, if you have any questions, you can ask me about my new tapes, my videos, my tour information, or if you have any questions about my refreshments. Okay. You like questions? No. Okay.
Then, I let at least 7 kids at school borrow it. My friend Bob said that he didn't love it. Paul Krakowski said that Bowl Cut was a classic. Other kids either said that it was awesome or that I had no talent. Here's the tour poster that I made for the 3 concerts that I did in my parents' house in support of my album. I called it the Half Dead Tour. None of the kids came to the first one, so I handed out these little flyers on March 20th to try to get people to come to the second one. But no one came. So finally, I handed out tickets like these in April to try to get people to come to the third show, though these tickets were from my shows the year before.
Look at all the people here tonight.
My family were still the only ones who would come to my shows, but that would change later that same year. I hope that you enjoyed the look back at my 1987 homemade album, HALF LIVE Petroskeey. If you did, don't forget to click on the like button down below. I'll see you soon with more memories. Thanks, YouTube.